I do not like to make videos calling out people for their jobs, but this is a video that must be made. The LA Chargers need to fire Anthony Lynn. On Sunday, the Chargers lost to the Buffalo Bills. And I was incredibly frustrated while I was watching this game of the bad play calling and bad time management that I saw on behalf of the Los Angeles Chargers. So there was a drive before halftime that the LA Chargers had the ball. And it was inside 2 minutes. And the LA Chargers were driving down the field. Now, there was a fourth down situation. It was like 4th and 2, I believe it was. And it looked like the LA Chargers were going to go for it. And remind you that they didn't call a timeout at this point. They were going no huddle. The time was still running. So they get up to the line. It looks like they're going to call a play. And you know what the LA Chargers do? Anthony Lynn calls a timeout. That makes no sense to me. So if you're inside 2 minutes and you only have a few seconds left on the clock at this point, if you're going to call a play, call a play. Don't just, go up to the line and just change your mind and just call a timeout. Because when you call a timeout, you stop the clock and you give Buffalo opportunity to get the ball back with a few seconds left on the clock. And they could make something happen out of that, especially with the arm strength that Josh Allen has. There isn't a throw any distance or anywhere that Josh Allen can't make with his arm strength. So you look at the LA Chargers calling the timeout in that situation, you stop the clock, and then you give the Buffalo Bills the opportunity to get the ball back with a couple of seconds left. That made no sense to me. I was really frustrated at the time management that I saw out of Anthony Lynn and their loss against the Buffalo Bills. Now, I know there are going to be a few Charger fans out there that say that the Chargers can't fire Anthony Lynn because of Justin Herbert, saying that, well, JT, you understand what happens when a young quarterback has to go through another head coach. He has to learn a new system, a new scheme, and all that good stuff. And I understand that. You get what I'm saying? So for the LA Chargers, who is going to replace Anthony Lynn? Is it going to be Eric Bieniemy, which is going to be the first guy that a lot of people that are Chargers fans are going to shout out? I don't think Anthony Lynn is going to the Los Angeles Chargers. I think that Anthony Lynn is going to the Houston Texans. It's the Houston Texans or bust for Eric Bieniemy. So then you got to look at your other options. So if you are the LA Chargers, I understand that you have a young quarterback. You don't want to put him through another head coach when he has to learn another system. But at the end of the day, this coaching staff is going to waste the talent of Justin Herbert. I'd rather have Justin Herbert in a situation where he has to learn a new system under a head coach that can put him in a proper situation to succeed and be successful in the NFL than relying on this coaching staff that the LA Chargers currently have right now, wasting his talent and losing games with bad clock management and bad play calling. And I understand that every play in the NFL is not going to be perfect. There are going to be some bad play calls. There's going to be some bad decisions that are made here and there. But it seems like when I look at the LA Chargers, I see teams that can't finish games. I see bad clock management. I see questionable play calling at times. I just think that it's time for the LA Chargers to make a change. Now, the only thing that I hope happens is that they keep Pep Hamilton. I hope whoever's the new head coach for the LA Chargers, they keep Pep Hamilton. Because Pep Hamilton is the only coach on his coaching staff for the Chargers that deserves to still be employed when the Chargers bring in a new coaching staff. And a lot of people in my previous video that I made about Justin Herbert and why Justin Herbert is the best rookie quarterback in NFL history, make sure that you guys go ahead and check that out. There'll be a card popping up so you guys can. But I said that Pep Hamilton was a pretty big part of the success that Justin Herbert has had. Now, a lot of Chargers fans try to say, oh, JT, Pep Hamilton only deserves a little bit of the credit. Justin Herbert did it all by himself. Listen, Pep Hamilton, when you look at what has happened with a shortened off season, having a pandemic going on, Pep Hamilton deserves a good amount of praise for getting Justin Herbert ready to play. Okay? As the quarterback's coach, I would like to see Pep Hamilton still on this Chargers staff. A lot of you guys are underestimating what Pep Hamilton has done to help Justin Herbert. Because in a pandemic with the situations that's going on, it's really hard for any rookie quarterback to be prepared. So you have to give credit to Pep Hamilton where it's due for helping Justin Herbert going through this pandemic with a limited training camp, with no preseason. And with Justin Herbert performing as well as he has, You have to give Pep Hamilton some credit. Now, I'm not going to give Pep Hamilton, all the credit. But I am going to say that Pep Hamilton does deserve a good amount of approval and a good amount of praise for helping Justin Herbert get to the point that he is right now as a rookie. So I would like to see Pep Hamilton return on the coaching staff as quarterbacks coach for the LA Chargers, because I think that would be really good for Justin Herbert moving forward, that he will have some familiarity on the coaching staff if the Chargers do go in the direction of parting ways and cleaning house with Anthony Lynn and the rest of his coaching staff. But Anthony Lynn needs to go. And it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that out. The only reason Anthony Lynn is still employed is because he took the Chargers to the playoffs a couple of years back, which they got blown out by the New England Patriots in the division round. So for the LA Chargers, you look at what you've done after that, hasn't really been any reason to keep Anthony Lynn around. And I understand that you have a young quarterback, and going through too many coaches and too many coaching changes can mess up a young quarterback's development. You saw what happened to Marcus Mariota. He went through several head coaches, several offensive coordinators. He never had no stability. But I think you have to go ahead and you have to make that move. You have your franchise quarterback. I think that Justin Herbert is good enough that if he can learn during a pandemic, then I'm pretty sure he can adjust to having a new coaching staff. Now, as long as the Chargers don't go through 3 and 4 head coaches during his career and put him through the same carousel that they put Phillip Rivers through, I think that Justin Herbert will be just fine. I think that Justin Herbert has enough talent that he can overcome a coaching change. And when you're drafted in the top 10 as a quarterback, you have to understand that you are going to go to a dysfunctional organization about 70 to 80% of the time. So Justin Herbert knew what he was signing up for when he was going to get drafted by the Los Angeles Chargers. This is what you have to be able to overcome as a top 10 pick as quarterback. I know it's messed up, but this is what happens. You have to be able to overcome dysfunctional organizations with bad coaches and bad front offices, and this is what Justin Herbert is going to have to do for the Los Angeles Chargers. So if the Los Angeles Chargers bring a new coach, who is that going to be? Because I don't think it's going to be Eric Bieniemy, regardless of what you Chargers fans are going to say. If I'm Eric Bieniemy, who would you choose? Would you rather go to Los Angeles Chargers with Justin Herbert? Although Justin Herbert is the best rookie quarterback of all time, would you rather go work with Justin Herbert, or would you rather go work with the Houston Texans? Now, I understand people are going to bring up the Texans cap situation and things like that, but at the end of the day, Deshaun Watson is Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson is the second best quarterback or the third best quarterback in the NFL right now. If I'm Eric Bieniemy, I'm going to work with Deshaun Watson, without a doubt. So for the LA Chargers, you got to ask yourself, what are going to be some other options at the head coaching position that you guys could bring in? Maybe you look at Jim Harbaugh from Michigan. I think that Jim Harbaugh come back to the West Coast area with Justin Herbert would be a pretty good fit, because Jim Harbaugh, has had success in the past building up franchises. You saw success that he had with the 49ers a couple of years ago. I know it hasn't worked out in Michigan, but you guys got to understand that the college game is way different from the NFL game. So for Jim Harbaugh, I think he may be a good fit there. I don't really know. There's not really a lot of great head coaching candidates out there this year. Maybe you bring in Joe Brady, the offensive coordinator for the Carolina Panthers. I've seen his name pop up a lot in head coaching rumors. So I don't really know where the Chargers go from here if they are to part ways with Anthony Lynn. But at this point, you do have to get rid of Anthony Lynn. Time management hasn't been there. The play calling hasn't been all that great. And it's just that Anthony Lynn hasn't really done all that much ever since he took the Chargers to the playoffs a couple of years ago. So I think it's time for the Los Angeles Chargers to part ways with Anthony Lynn and start fresh.